And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix, a qualifying where it did appear in qualifying that Verstappen was going to be under pressure for that pole position. Alas, he wasn't. He was in the end. He did a Q3 under pressure until Q3, where he did an absolutely phenomenal lap that no one got really near. I mean, we're talking tenths, but still, Verstappen on pole for the Australian Grand Prix. Surprise, surprise. But let's get into though the top 10 at first, and then down to the disappointments. I think, let's be fair. So Verstappen on pole, and it wasn't an easy run, because it was looking like he was struggling. I think in the first qualifying session, he was really struggling with understeer, getting a good 4 tenths off. I think the Ferraris at that point. Sainz in second. What a comeback for Sainz. Hang your head and shame Charles Leclerc, all I can say, because this guy come off surgery. I figured if he has his appendix out, that may have been an advantage. The car's slightly lighter, maybe, but that does not account for the gap between him and Leclerc. A wonderful job. Perez third, I think it's as good as he could have done. As we know, qualifying isn't his forte, but he was right up there. Norris in fourth, really, really good. As solid as Norris is, that's as much as Norris doing that really good time. He was under pressure from Piastri going into Q3, because I thought Piastri had a chance, maybe. I kind of felt that Piastri home Grand Prix could have done it, but there we go. Leclerc in fifth, messed up his last lap, but Sainz looked strong throughout, didn't he? Leclerc looked really strong coming into this weekend. And then Sainz admitted to himself that he was not pushing as hard because of, obviously, he's been in bed for 10 days recovering from the surgery. Piastri 6th, solid job. I don't think you could expect any better from him. Russell 7th, I think that's about as fast as that Mercedes could have gone. Disappointing. We'll get into more disappointment in a bit. Tsunoda in 8th, solid, really good job. 10 places higher than Danny Rick. Massive exclamation mark there. 10th, Alonso. Messed his lap up. I mean, for Stroll to out-qualify Alonso, well done, Lance Stroll. Fernando Alonso, oh dear. But not as oh dear, I think, as Lewis Hamilton, who was visibly really struggling with the car to the point where his Q2 time was slower than his practice 3 time. Not good at all. I mean, really disappointing. As you can see, he said the car changed from practice 3, where he was really happy with the car, within a tenth of the fastest time, to really struggling. You saw him absolutely struggling. And to be fair, George Russell, his top time was only increased his top time by maybe like a couple of tenths, if that. So I think both Mercedes are absolutely at their maximum. It'll be interesting to see. I think Hamilton will come through in the race. He needs to survive that first corner in 11th, right in the middle of the field. But I guess we'll see. So Alex Albon in 12th. Has James Vowles been vindicated? Only a couple of positions away. All it takes is a silly first corner for people ahead, and then Albon is in the points, fighting for those points. So as unfair as you think the Logan Sargent thing was, and yes, it was Albon that crashed. It is unfair, absolutely. If so far, has it been a good decision from James Vowles? Come the end of the season, if Albon gets a point and they win by a point, you've got to say, yeah, it probably was. However, it's really unfair. And what was nice to see, the crowd was really supporting Logan Sargent and cheering him on. Bottas 13th, really solid there. That's about as good as I think as that Stake F1 team could have done. Magnussen 14th, out qualifying Hulkenberg. Not bad for Magnussen. And this is the guy that everyone thinks is going to be replaced by Ollie Behrman. Ocon 15th, got out of Q3. Well done, Ocon. 16th for Hulkenberg, 17th for Gasly. You kind of expected at least, well, really both Hasses wouldn't have been a surprise to not get out of Q1, but one of them did. Ricciardo, 18th. Yeah. He messed up. He did a few solid laps early on in Q1, and then he went wide and got his time deleted, which I think would have got him into Q2. What would he have done? We don't know, but you need to get into Q2 first. And Daniel and Zhao in 19th. So yeah, let's get into our winners and losers then. Our winners and losers from the qualifying in the Australian Grand Prix. Let's begin with the losers first. Surprise, surprise. I mean, this guy here, we've just spoken about him. Daniel Ricciardo. What is going on at the moment? I mean, I felt really bad for him. Home Grand Prix, Australia, Melbourne. I mean, yes, he's got on the podium there, albeit he then got disqualified to do with fuel. But I'm shocked. I am shocked. Daniel Ricciardo, did not expect. I really thought he'd get out of Q1. He didn't. All his own. I think all his own fault. He went wide of the white line and got his time deleted once again under more pressure from Yuki Tsunoda. What we need now is a really solid Daniel Ricciardo performance. 10, like a 10 out of 10 star of the race, and get it. I mean, if he can get in the points from there, that'll be amazing. And all will be forgotten from qualifying. Can he get in the points? I don't know so much. Another guy that's a fairly obvious one of the losers of qualifying, Lewis Hamilton. That car looked absolutely horrendous. But at the same time, he was the one that was experimenting in practice too. And it was, pretty much nearly a best part of a second off George Russell. Got it together in practice 3. And then, I don't know what happened there. Is it the case of these experimental setups? I don't know. We all know Lewis is better than that. Just like we all know Ricciardo should be better than that. I think Lewis will fare better in the race if he gets through that. What's going to be an interesting first corner. There's quite often crashes there. So hopefully Lewis Hamilton comes good in the race. We know in race pace he is faster than George Russell, but George Russell has had an absolutely epic first 3 qualifying sessions. He's got to be really happy. And this guy here, another loser of qualifying, Charles Leclerc. Yeah. This guy, I mean, he's been out-qualified by his appendicitis-ridden Carlos Sainz. I mean, he finished, 5th, wasn't it? 5th. Out-qualified by Lando Norris with a really solid lap by Norris, but nothing you expect here. So, I'm not saying hang your head in shame, but this guy had really good race runs in practice. So, could he be a challenge for Red Bull? Maybe. From 5th, it's going to be difficult, though. I mean, he really needs to get past at least Norris and Perez at that first corner. And we've got, obviously, Sainz in second. So, outdone by his teammate. I remember, the last guy that did really well that came back from injury? Michael Schumacher in Malaysia 99 did really well getting pole. Gerhard Berger, if anyone remembers that, in Hockenheim. Not only does he lose his dad, he has, I think, serious sinus surgery, comes back Hockenheim, sticks it on pole and wins. Maybe Carlos Sainz can do something similar. That would be very interesting. So let's get into our winners, shall we? So there's Charles Leclerc, disappointing. Our winners of qualifying. Our first winner, this guy here, not really a surprise. Max Verstappen on pole. Having said that, kind of like Saudi Arabia, I don't think it was a guarantee. And I think even at the beginning of Q1, it seemed like a bit of a struggle for Max, didn't it? So well done, Max. Fair play to you. Another winner, I think this guy here, Yuki Tsunoda in Australia, Daniel Ricciardo's backyard, Melbourne, home Grand Prix. Qualifies Daniel Ricciardo. Absolutely fantastic. Well done, Yuki Tsunoda. Really, really happy with that. You should be happy with that. Massive, massive smiles. What can Yuki do for the race? I think points, absolute minimum in 8th. I mean, he qualified both Aston Martins. I don't think anyone after Bahrain and Saudi would have done that. And his first top 10 and into Q3 for Australia. I don't think he's done that yet. But our qualifying star, you may have guessed it, this guy here, fantastic. Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, our quality star of the day, comes injury. He looks like he's struggling after when we saw him get out of the car in practice 1 and practice 2. But then this man absolutely sticks it on second, not quite pole, but he was a challenge all the way through. And I just think it was a really good max lap, and they sorted that car. And I think the Red Bull came good with that extra grip come the end of the session. But our quali stars. So to go through them all again, winners and losers. So we've got Charles Leclerc out qualified by Norris and your teammate. Coming back from surgery. Kind of hang your head in shame there a bit. Should have done better. Lewis Hamilton out qualified by George Russell for the 3rd time. Oh, Lewis. Disappointing. But I think the most disappointed person here is going to be Daniel Ricciardo coming in. Loads of pressure coming to the Australian Grand Prix weekend and 10 places below your teammate. Had your lap deleted. Daniel Ricciardo. surprise, surprise, Verstappen on pole. I don't think it, as we said, it was not as guaranteed though, was it? It wasn't as guaranteed as, for example, Bahrain, or we all thought it looked like a struggle in Q1. Yuki Tsunoda, fantastic. Yes, smiles all round for Yuki Tsunoda, out qualifying Daniel Ricciardo, getting into that top 8. The first time he's been in the top 10 in Melbourne. But the star of qualifying, Carlos Sainz, coming back from that surgery, looked a bit, looked a bit in pain. But there we go, Carlos Sainz. So, who do we think is going to win the race? I personally think it's probably still, as I get a drink, I think it's still going to be Max Verstappen. That race pace is going to be amazing, particularly because Charles Leclerc is all the way back. But podium, I think a Ferrari on the podium and probably the other Red Bull. What can Hamilton do? I think in the points, I think George Russell, probably he could get the McLarens. I guess we'll see. But there we go. So if you enjoyed it, like and subscribe if you can. That will be absolutely amazing. And we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.